Hey guys, welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. When you are on, let me know so I can say hello to you. Welcome to another Thursday, you guys. That means what? The weekend is right around the corner. Our topic today is no diggity, no doubt. So that's what we want to talk about today. So let me know when you're on. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes and then we will get started. Last week, we talked about it might be a minute. Learning some patience and understanding that everything doesn't happen overnight, you guys. Sometimes it takes some time. And you have to be willing to, let me get that message out of the way. You have to be willing to be patient and to be willing to wait, till it's your turn on some things. Some things you need to take on head on, but sometimes you do have to wait your turn. And that's okay. You don't have to move at anybody else's speed. So we're going to move on to our topic for today. Say hello when you come on. I see a little eye at the top. Happy Thursday, whoever you are. And I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're having an amazing week. Absolutely. Well, you guys, let's go ahead and get started for today. We want to talk about no diggity, no doubt. Self-doubt is one of those things that most of us struggle with at some point of our lives. Most of us get better with time as we get older, as we've gone through some things and had some experiences. But sometimes people live with self-doubt their entire life. And that's what we want to talk about today. I want to see people be free from living with self-doubt, from feeling like they're less than and feeling like they're not good enough. So that's what this message today is about. No diggity, no doubt. So we're gonna stamp out this doubt that a lot of us have. And everybody has that internal struggle, with, what do I feel about myself? What do people say about me? Hey, Rashida, we all go through that, and there comes a point in your life where you can either let what they say be the truth or what you say be the truth. And you have to have some confidence within to be able to decide, you know what? It doesn't matter what they say about me. I know who I am. God knows who I am. But that takes a while. Everybody doesn't get that overnight. Hey, Christia. Everybody doesn't get that overnight, you guys. So that's what we want to talk about. This war within, with this self-doubt, you guys. And self-doubt simply means that you lack the confidence in yourself, and in your own abilities. Somewhere down the line, a lot of times it stems from our childhood, from people criticizing us too harshly. There's a right and a wrong way to criticize somebody. And everybody doesn't know how to do that. Some people come off really mean and really rude. Hey, LaTanya. But you have to know how to approach somebody if you're trying to help them be better. Now, if your criticism is to make them feel bad, of course you're going to come off the wrong way. But you check yourself before you go and criticize somebody else, because nobody's perfect. And at some point, you're going to be in their shoes, and you're going to want somebody to come to you in the right way and try to help you rather than trying to beat you down and make you feel bad about yourself. And so that's what doubt is. It's just feeling uncertain, having a lack of conviction, about yourself. And over time, as you grow older, as you mature, you kind of learn to not care so much about what everybody else thinks about you. Hey, William, as I've gotten into my 50s, it's just like a light came on. And I realized, I have one life to live. And I have to decide how my life is going to go. I look back over my life and I ask myself, when I was going through the hard times, when I needed someone or when I was struggling, who did I have to count on? And 9 times out of 10, my answer is God. It was me and God. Everybody can't always be there for you. So you have to remind yourself this walk is not between you and your friends and God. It's between you and God. It's fine if they're there, but if they're not, you still got to keep pushing. You know, you can't give up just because somebody's not there to help you. You've got to find the strength within yourself and understand that God is on your side, and you got to keep it moving. Okay? So let's take a minute. If you guys have a pen and paper, get it, because I'm going to give you guys some notes about self-doubt. And maybe you guys that are struggling with this, like I struggle sometimes, maybe you can look back over these notes to kind of help you in those times when you're not feeling so good about yourself, not feeling so confident about your walk at that moment. So if you've got a minute, grab a pen and paper, and we're going to start taking some notes. So let's talk about, where does self-doubt come from? Like I said before, a lot of times, most of the things we struggle with as adults stem from bad experiences as children. So that's number one, previous negative experiences. Some of us have been abused physically, emotionally, and sexually. You know, that will produce self-doubt later on, and a bunch of other stuff as well. But for sure, self-doubt. Because a lot of times you're not sure of yourself because you don't know how you fit in this puzzle. You know, why did this happen to me and it didn't happen to her? Why was I chosen to be picked on? You know, some of us have been bullied. I remember as a young child, I was bullied a lot because I was skinny and I had buck teeth, you know, and people were mean to me. And a lot of my self-doubt that I experienced as an adult stems back to things that happened in my family, and also things that happened from people that bullied me throughout my childhood. And I even had some bullies when I was in my 20s, and some of them were family members. You know, they were manipulators, or they were people that could make you really feel bad if you didn't want to go along with what they wanted you to do. That's bullying, okay? So some of it comes from previous negative experiences that we've had in our lives. And that'll put self-doubt in your spirit. And it's hard to come out of that. It's really hard to come out of it, but you can. Number two, insecurity. Insecurity can also come from childhood. You know, when you were younger, you have a certain sense of what type of protection you're supposed to have as a child. You know, and when you don't feel protected, when you don't feel safe as a child, it builds insecurity in you, and that grows along with you if you don't seek the help that you need, or sit down and talk with somebody and get some counseling, or decide that you want to really pray about that thing and ask God to deliver you from it. Insecurity comes from being in relationships and having somebody abandon you. You know, some of us have had parents that abandoned us. Some of us have had loved ones, spouses that have abandoned us and left us hanging, so to speak. You know, or people that we trusted that did something that totally betrayed our trust and totally devastated us. So that's where that insecurity comes in. And so that will lead to self-doubt because you don't know what to believe. You don't know who to trust. You don't feel comfortable with anybody. So that self-doubt will take hold if you have insecurity in your life. And I already said bullying and harsh criticism. You know, we got to be so careful how we talk to these children. You know, when I was younger, you know, people would just say whatever they wanted to say to you. And they didn't care about your feelings. They didn't care if it scarred you, you know, for later on in life. But we've got to stop doing that. That's not okay to do that to children, because the children remember what you say. They remember what you say. Believe it or not, you can ask a child about something 20 years ago, and if it hurt them, something you said, they can repeat it verbatim, exactly what you said. And you'll be sitting there going, no, I didn't say that. Yes, you did, because you left a mark on that child. You left a scar with a verbal attack. And so we have to be careful how we talk to these kids, how we criticize these kids. And even as adults, you know, as we're maturing as adults, you know, hey, chick, you know, we got to be careful about calling people stupid and dumb and all other things that we're calling people, because you know what? Everybody doesn't get it right away. Everybody's not street smart. You know, some people like to call you, you know, dumb or gullible just because you were sheltered and maybe you don't know a lot of what goes on in these streets. But, you know, when you're ignorant of something, that doesn't mean you're less than. That means that you just don't know. So we have to be careful about criticizing people. We need to pay more attention to trying to help people to do better. Okay? Another reason, a place that self doubt comes from is unhealthy relationships. You can get in a relationship with someone and be just full of confidence and independent and doing your own thing. But if that person you get in a relationship with is actually jealous of you or jealous of your accomplishments, I know what it's like to have somebody want you because of how you look or how you present yourself or how people think about you because you make them look better. But that doesn't mean that person is for you. They want you for a reason, for a display. And then a lot of times, if you get to being too popular, if everybody likes you too much, then you see their side of the jealousy, the criticism. Every time you take a step, they have something to say about it. Or they may even try to sabotage some of the things that you do. Some of us have been in relationships with people like that were actually jealous of us and did not want to see us succeed and tried to find ways to tear us down and break our spirit so that we would have self-doubt. Sometimes that's put on you by other people if you allow it. Sometimes you try to get along with people, especially in a relationship, and if you love that person, you tolerate a lot. But sometimes they're putting so much weight and so much baggage and so much pain on you to where you don't even realize they're loading you down with self-doubt. They're leaving those bags with you, and you have to be careful about that. And I wrote down some words concerning self-doubt. Pain will cause self-doubt. When you've been hurt, over and over again, you'll start doubting yourself. You'll start doubting your judgment. You start doubting that God even loves you because why does he keep letting me go through this stuff over and over again? So pain will cause you to doubt. Strain, when you've got too much on your plate, when everybody's pulling you in 1,000 directions, you can't focus. Yeah, you'll have self-doubt because you don't know if you're coming or going. Stress will cause self-doubt simply when you're trying to please everybody else at the same time. It will bring a tremendous amount of stress in your life. Or if you're trying to hold everything down and you're trying to, take care of this family over here, this family member over there, you're just doing too much, and people will use and abuse you and they will stress you out. And before you know it, you don't even know what to do. You can't even handle your own affairs because you've been too busy being stressed and pulled in different directions trying to help somebody else. Failure is another thing that will cause self-doubt. A lot of times we don't look at failure in its proper perspective. And I'm guilty of that. When I would fail at something, it would just hurt me to my heart. I would get so down on myself and I'm just like, I don't even want to try anymore. I'm not going to do that again. And I had to realize failure is part of the plan sometimes. Sometimes you need to fail, in order to make you dig deep and do something better. Sometimes failing stops you from doing that easy thing. Sometimes we want to take the easy route and when it don't work, we give up. Sometimes God is saying, no, you tried to do it the easy way. Now do it the way I wanted you to do it and you'll succeed. So sometimes failure is good. And then tension. Tension will cause you to doubt yourself. If you're always having to argue with, somebody in your household, this, that, and the other, before you know it, you're going to start wondering, am I right or not? Am I making good decisions or not? Because there's so much chaos, so much tension going on in your life. And that's one of the things the enemy likes for us to be in situations of chaos and confusion. Because when you're in that state, you can't focus. And you doubt yourself and you doubt God simply because you don't understand how to get out of this bundle of confusion that you're in. So be careful about those things, you guys. Don't allow yourself to be weighted down with pain, stress, failure, pressure, or tension because it leads to self-doubt. Another thing that leads to self-doubt is past memories. Past memories that we sit up and think about things that we failed at. And then sometimes we have future ideas of what won't work. A lot of times, simply because something didn't work in the past and we want to try it later, we're still thinking about what happened the last time we tried it. And the enemy puts that fear in us that we're going to fail again, but that's not always so. Sometimes it wasn't the right time when you tried it before. Sometimes it's all about, timing. Sometimes it's all about growing up a little bit. A lot of times we're too immature for a lot of things. So when we try it the first time, it doesn't work. But as we grow and experience some things and build our character, try the same thing again. You never know. It just might work the second time. Okay? So understand that doubt cannot exist in the now. It's either going to be doubt about a past thing or a future thing. We all living in the now, but our thoughts is what we have to control when it comes to doubt, because it's with our thoughts that we say to ourselves, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I shouldn't do this. I'm afraid to do this. I'm afraid to do that. That's with our thoughts. It's not in the situation we're in now. It's about something in the future or something in the past. So constantly remind yourself to get a hold of those thoughts and remind yourself that you got this. You have to tell yourself you got this even when you're not sure if you got it or not. Today, I go into work, chaos. And I had to remind myself, you know what, Karen, you know your job, you know who you are, you know your abilities, and you're going to make this happen today. Was it hard? Absolutely. Absolutely, it was hard today. But at the end of the day, I felt good about the job that I did today. I helped everybody that I could today. So I worked what I knew about myself. I couldn't worry about the situation. I couldn't worry about the what ifs. What if, this patient calls, or what if this patient, does this or that. I couldn't worry about the what ifs. I handled the here and the now with the abilities and the talent that I knew that I had, and God worked me through it, and we made it through today. And it was funny. I was so exhausted when I left work, and I kept saying to myself on the way home, I said, you know what, God, you got me through this today. I said, I'm tired. Yes, I am. I'll admit I'm tired. But I refuse to look like what I went through. I refuse to look like I was worn out today. I refuse to give the devil any glory today as to how that day went or how that day started. Because at the end of the day, I got the victory. Because simply, I didn't doubt myself. I did what I had to do. I clocked out and I went home. You can't worry about the what ifs. You have to deal with the here and the now. And number 6, when it comes to where does doubt come from? Constantly comparing yourself to other people. When you do that, you're going to always come up short. Because you are evidently, the fact that you're comparing yourself to that person, you already think that person is better than you. You already think that person has more gifts than you. You already think that person is prettier than you. Anytime you're comparing yourself to somebody, you see something in them that you feel like is not within yourself. And that's a waste of time, because you know what? What God gave her is for her. What God gave me is for me. There's no sense in comparing the two. Hey, Tina, there's no sense in comparing the two, because we're not the same people. We're not supposed to have the same appearance. We're not supposed to have the same gifts. We're not supposed to have the same talents. Stop comparing yourself to other people, because that's when you start feeling bad about yourself and looking down at yourself. And that's definitely not where you should be. Number 7, giving up when you fail. That'll cause self-doubt. If you never get back up and try it again, you will always have a doubt in your mind about that particular thing. They say, if you fall off a horse, you're supposed to get right back up on it, because you'll develop a fear of that thing if you don't go ahead and try it again, or if you don't dust yourself off. That's just like when we're teaching our children how to ride a bike. When they fall that first time, we don't say, oh, okay, come on, let's go in the house and sit down. No, what do? We dust them off. We say, you okay? Come on, get back up on this bike and let's go. And a lot of times they're crying, saying, no, I don't want to. But as a parent, that they need to conquer that fear. And once they get past it, It'll build their self-esteem. Same way it is with raising children, same way it is in life with us adults. We can't just give up because something didn't work. We got to dust ourselves off and we got to try something else if we need to, but by no means do we give up. No means. So get back on it and try it again. Try it a different way this time. Number 8, sometimes we have abandonment issues, like I said before. Abandonment issues when you've women, and I know a lot of women who didn't have a father in their life. We struggle. I had a father in my life, but he didn't spend as much time with us as he should have. And that's because he and my mother couldn't get along when we were younger. But it hurt us as girls. And I'm sure it hurt my brother as well, but it hurt us as girls for sure, simply because we didn't have our father in our home. We didn't have that male role model. We didn't have that protection of a man in the house. Hey, Yvette, we didn't have that protection. So it does something to your self-esteem, and it makes you doubt yourself because God intended for us to have that covering. That's why it's man and woman, because the man's got a job to do and the woman's got a job to do, and that both are equally as important as far as raising children. Children need both of their parents, simply because one parent can't do that other person's job no matter how hard they try. Trust me, I'm a single mom. I know. When me and my son's dad divorced, I couldn't do his job. So you know what? I made sure my son spent as much time with his dad as he could, because I know that while I can do the best that I can to raise a young man, there are some things that only a man can teach them. And you have to acknowledge that. As bad as you think you are, you cannot teach teach a boy how to become a man. You can teach him how to be kind, have character, be respectful. You can teach him all that, but some things must come from a man. And if you don't have a man in your household, pray to God that a man will come in your son's lives that can help them along the way and help them to develop what they need to feel like a man. We don't want our boys out there thinking that, acting like us is normal, because it's not. God made them to be a man for a reason, and there are some things that they can't mimic that mama does. And, throughout time, it's been shown that boys do better when they've got a positive role model in their life. And we can't deny that. Same thing with girls. As much as dad tries his best, if he's a single dad, to do it all, he can do hair, all of that stuff. But there's something going to be missing in that child, and she's going to have self-doubt if she doesn't have a positive female role model in her life to help her understand what it is to be a woman. And that's something that a man could never teach her. So we need to recognize and value the roles of the man and the woman in these children's lives. Because with either one lacking, it creates self-doubt in that person as they grow older. And I'm a living witness to that, because there's a lot of things I had to work through, even within myself, because of lacking that. And another reason self-doubt comes in is because you don't forgive yourself. A lot of times we make a mistake, and Lord knows I've made some huge mistakes, but until you forgive yourself, how do you expect anybody else to forgive you? You can't ask God to forgive you if you're always reminding yourself of what you did wrong. We all make mistakes. We'll be making mistakes until we leave this earth. You've got to learn how to forgive yourself, ask God for forgiveness, and move forward. You can't stay in unforgiveness. There's nothing but quicksand in unforgiveness. It will drag you down. It will drag down the people around you if you don't learn how to forgive yourself. I promise you, whatever you've done wrong, somebody else has done it to you. There's nothing new under the sun, the Bible says. So whatever you've done, somebody else has done it. So quit being so harsh on yourself. Try not to do it again. Ask God to forgive you and let it go so you can move on and stop reminding yourself of what you did wrong. Okay? And then number 10, fixating on a particular outcome. We talked about this before last week about, it may take a minute because we get fixed on a particular outcome, just like we decide, oh, by the time I'm 20, I'm going to be doing this, 30, I'm supposed to be married, 40, I'm supposed to have the big house and the big car. We get fixated on those things, and when that doesn't happen, we start feeling bad about ourselves. But who told you that was supposed to happen at that time in your life? That's something you fixated in your head because you're looking at society and you're comparing yourself to other people. And anytime you do that, you are going to fail. You're going to be disappointed. You're going to be discouraged. Don't set yourself up to do that. Because my thing is, I've learned to be happy for people when they have what I don't have. Because obviously, it was meant for them. It was meant for them. Because the Bible says that God is not a respecter of persons. So therefore, if it was meant for me, I would have it. So why would I be mad at her because she's got something I don't have? So we got to stop getting in our head about things and stop fixating on things. And when they don't happen at a certain period of time, then we start feeling bad about ourselves. But we've got to stop doing that and understand that, every day we have so much to be grateful for. We don't need to be fixating on a particular time or a particular place that we need to do things, because life is a journey. None of us know where tomorrow is going to take us. So we need to just get our mind right, learn to be grateful, and ask God to cover us and to walk with us into whatever we've got to face tomorrow. Okay? And another thing that brings self-doubt is people that are faking and being imposters. How people are trying to pretend on social media to be something that they're not. A lot of those people are insecure. They're insecure because they feel like they've got to do this big grand thing, or they've got to make everybody think that they got it going on because they don't feel good about themselves. And everybody knows social media is the perfect place to become a star, a self-made star. Social media is the place because you can pretend to be anything and everything you want. But at the end of the day, when that camera's turned off, when that computer shut down, you're stuck with yourself. So a lot of times people have a lot of self-doubt and low self-esteem simply because they're pretending to be something that they're not. So you're opening the door to self-doubt when you do that. And understand that self-doubt is one of the enemy's greatest weapons against us. It ranks along with jealousy, envy, strife. All of that is in the same category. Because when you think about it, if you're constantly doubting yourself, how can you truly trust anybody else? And how can you really trust God? You could say you trust God, but if you don't even have enough faith in yourself, how can you possibly have faith in Him? Hey, Gina, how can you have faith in Him? So we've got to understand the enemy loves it when we're second guessing ourselves. The Bible talks about a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. He wants you to be unstable. He wants you to be in a state of confusion all the time. So you have to make up your mind that you're a tree, you're planted by the rivers of water, and you shall not be moved. And you have to make up your mind. You're going to stand flat-footed and you're going to trust God. Case in point, is everything going to go okay? Is everything going to go your way? Not always, but I promise you, when you trust God, it's going to work itself out. And it may take a minute, but it's going to work itself out. Getting older can cause self-doubt. Like I said before, when we think about all the stuff we didn't do when we were younger, and now we're getting older. Physically, we may not be able to do some of the stuff that we did when we were younger. We might not be as mentally sharp, as we were before. But one thing about it, work in the season that you're in. Quit trying to go back and do stuff that you didn't get done in your 20s, when you're in your 50s. That time has passed for you. Don't try to put your physical self in a place that is not. As we grow older, our bodies change, Our minds change. A lot of us are even smarter than we used to be, but then there are some times when you're going to forget some things. And a lot of times people start feeling of less value because they're not as sharp as they used to be, or they're not as physically fit as they used to be. Well, if there's something that you don't like, do something about it. Get out there and walk. Do some stretching, do some yoga, start doing some mental puzzles and games and things that sharpen your mind. You can do some things about that. You don't have to sit and doubt yourself. Motivate yourself to be in the best shape you could possibly be in, both mentally and physically. Don't sit there and dwell on what you can't do. Focus on what you can do and try to make that better instead of living in the past. Because self-doubt is associated with anxiety, depression, procrastination. You'll start making excuses for stuff because you doubt yourself. You'll start putting stuff off, that procrastination, and before you know it, 10, 20 years have passed and you've missed your opportunity. Lack of motivation comes from self-doubt. You might be geared up to do something and then somebody say something negative and your little balloon, all the air go out of your little balloon. You got to stop letting people pump you up, because the same people that pump you up can put a pin in your balloon and bring you right back down. That's why you got to make up your own mind about things. Don't let the crowd push you somewhere that you're not ready to go. And then being emotionally unstable will cause self-doubt as well. So you may be asking, okay, I hear you with all of that, but how do you begin to conquer it? Well, let's talk about getting better. Let's talk about conquering self-doubt. The first thing I'll tell anybody, when you recognize that you're always doubting yourself, pray about it. Because there's a root to that. And ask God to show you where that came from. And it may take some meditation. You may have to get on a schedule where you give God some time and just really meditate, and He take you back to your childhood when those seeds were planted. Because a lot of us had seeds planted as children, and those things are just now popping up. There's a lot of weeds that are popping up in our lives, hey Ruth, from things that were planted when we were little. Some are good and some are bad. God talks about, letting the wheat and the tare grow up together, and He'll do the separating. That's when you don't have to worry. When you start praying about that, you ain't got to worry about the self-doubt once you start praying and giving it to God, because He's going to do the separating. That way He takes out and plucks out those bad seeds that you need plucked out. But once you acknowledge it and you want to be better and you've asked God to step in, He'll do the plucking. He'll do the separating. But you've got to decide that you want to be better. You're tired of feeling tired. You're tired of feeling bad about yourself. You're tired of doubting your every decision. You have to get tired and you have to want to do something about it. Number 2, face your fears. That thing that keeps waking you up at night, that thing that keeps making your heart race when you see it, or that thing that every time you think about doing it, you get sweats and anxiety. Face it. Face it head on. Because when you face your fears, that's where your strength and your courage comes from. The worst thing that's going to ever happen is you're going to fail. And we know failure ain't never killed nobody. It hurts your ego. But if you make up your mind, I'm going to try this, and worst case scenario, I'll fail. And if that's their worst case scenario, I say go for it. Because you know what? Failure will teach you what not to do. And failure will also build confidence, and it'll also encourage you to incorporate God into your plans and try it His way. And then you'll gain confidence when you face your fears. Whether you win or lose, you'll still believe in yourself because you had the courage to step out there and at least try it. Number 3, chase your dreams. No matter what anybody else thinks about what you're trying to do. And you have to be careful about sharing your stuff with people, because people are ready. They are ready to rewrite your story. So you have to be careful about what you let come out this mouth, because people always got something for you, but it's not always good. So chase your dreams. Sometimes you need to chase them in silence. And then once your dreams come to fruition, then you can share them. But it's not always good to tell everybody what you're doing or what you're trying to do. But chase your dreams. Don't be afraid, because if you don't chase them now, as you get older or when you look back in life, you're going to regret the fact that you didn't at least try. Just at least try it. Worst thing that can happen is fail. And that's not going to kill you. You're going to learn something from the failure. Number 4, another way to conquer self-doubt is to keep a journal. Writing is very powerful. Very powerful. You know, writing is that thing that you do to get those emotions out when you can't talk to somebody else. That's when you can be truly honest, when you journal, because that's your journal. Those are your private thoughts, and we all need to be able to get those thoughts out. You know, you can't always tell them to somebody else. You can always tell them to God, but there's nothing like putting those words to paper, because that means you own what you're feeling, and you own what you're going to do about it. Because not only are you writing it down, when you start reading it, you're going to be wanting to formulate a plan, because you don't always want to feel this way. You know, you might feel like this today, but you don't want to feel like this the rest of your life. So in here, you're going to start thinking of a better way to do things so that I can write something different next time. I don't want to keep writing the same thing. And so get you a journal. I got me one that just simply says, you got this. You know, you got to remind yourself that you got this, you know, whether you think you have it or not, or whether you have the plan together or not, you have to remind yourself you got this. Because God's word says what? We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So we've got to believe that. So you got to be able to say you got this in order to even move forward. Because if you didn't think you could do it, why even try? So remind yourself you got this. And then when you write in your journal, ask yourself some serious questions. First question, what is stopping you from acknowledging your ability to succeed? What is stopping you from acknowledging the fact that I have abilities, I can succeed? What stops you from acknowledging that? You know, what voice is in your head saying you can't? You know, those are the things you need to ask yourself. Who told you you can't do something? Why do you feel like you can't do it? Number 2, do you believe you don't deserve it? And why? You know, a lot of times we dream of something, but then in the back of our head, we don't think we're good enough for it. Why? And why don't you believe you deserve it? Number 3, do you believe that you should be aiming higher than where you're at? Or why are you not aiming higher? And ask yourself that, what's keeping you from aiming higher? Number 4, what does success look like to you? Not what success looks like to social media, not what the world says success looks like. What does success look like to you? Because I can tell you, success to me looks like peace. Success to me looks like me being able to wake up with a smile on my face. Success to me is me being able to provide and being able to not have to worry about where my next meal is going to come from, or if the lights are going to be on, you know, just to be able to maintain and do it with some sweatless victory. I don't want to have to struggle my whole life. So therefore, success to me is being able to do what I do, you know, effortlessly is the word I'm looking for. You know, I want to be able to do it with a swag. I want to do it with ease. To me, that's success. When you get it together to where you've got a flow to your life. To me, that's success, but that's what it looks like to me. It's not all about having all the money, all the cars and the houses. That's for somebody else. I like that stuff, but to me, that's not the only definition of success. Okay? Another question you can ask yourself is, what would happen if you plunged into your passion and the outcome was different than what you envisioned? You know, are you going to fall apart just because it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go? Or are you going to be open to something new? Ask yourself those questions. And then number 6, what would happen if you fail? What's the worst thing that could happen when you fail? Number 7, make a list of all your limiting beliefs, all those thoughts that you keep saying to yourself about why you can't do something, why you don't deserve something, why you don't want to try something different. Ask yourself, why am I thinking that way? Write down those thoughts so you can cast down those thoughts and pray about that and ask God to help you not to feel that way about yourself. And the next one says, allow yourself to feel what you need to feel about a situation. That's when you can overcome, self-doubt. If you feel that way about it, allow yourself to feel that way. Don't let people say, girl, you ought to get over that, or girl, I don't even know why you let that bother you. If it bothers you, allow yourself to feel it. Don't stay there. Don't dwell in it, but allow yourself to feel it. If it hurt, allow yourself to cry about it. If it made you mad, allow yourself to walk off and blow off some steam, and say whatever you need to say to kind of get that off of your chest, or go for a run, or whatever you got to do to let off some steam. Don't hold those feelings inside just because other people decide that you shouldn't feel a certain way. If that feels that way to you, stop pretending that you're okay all the time. Sometimes you're not okay. Sometimes you need a minute. I've walked away from people and said, you know what? I'm going to need a minute. I need to go. Because I allowed myself to feel what I needed to feel. I'll talk to you later. But I need to feel this and get this out of my system rather than bottle it up and then explode on you later. So allow yourself to feel what you need to feel about a situation or a disappointment. Stop pretending you're okay. If you're disappointed, you're disappointed. And another way of overcoming self-doubt is remember your past achievements. Just as well as we do stuff wrong, we've done some stuff right, y'all. We've done more stuff right than we've done wrong. A lot of times it don't seem like it, simply because, the wrong stuff is always jumping up in your face to remind you of where you failed. But just remember, as much as you failed, you succeeded. You just have to draw back into that. You have to sit down and think about all the things that you've overcome. Some of us have been through some situations that other people would have lost their minds over. And you forget that sometimes when you're going through something new. But just remind yourself of what you've already achieved and what you've already overcome. And that'll help you with that self-doubt. Number 7 is spend time with supportive people. I don't know how I can express how important that is. Stop hanging around people that are secret haters. Because there's a lot of people that are really good at pretending they're your friend. Ask God to show you your haters. Not the ones that are at a distance, but the ones that are around you all the time. That way you can deal with them accordingly. And spend time with people that truly love you and truly support you. That will help with that self-doubt. Because a person that truly supports you, they got good things to say about you. They see things in you that you can never see in yourself. And that's what you need. You need people that actually are for you. So spend some time around people that actually support you. And then number 8, I probably got my numbering off, but number 8, identify your values and what matters to you the most. A lot of times we have these core values and we always trying to fit in with everybody else, and we try to change what we feel like is acceptable. If you don't like something, if in your core values this is wrong, don't conform just because society is conforming to it. You don't have to go along with them. If you know in your heart that this is wrong, this is a value that you've learned, and this is something that you believe in, stand on your values. Don't change and sway just to get along with everybody else. You've got to learn to be your own individual person and understand to yourself what matters to you the most. Nobody can answer that for you. You got to understand what matters to you the most. And when self-doubt is in your face all the time, you lose sight of those things. So you have to identify those things. And once you start deciding what you're for and what you're against, life will start balancing out, because when you make up your mind not to go along with everybody else, you gain strength. Because simply when you decide that everybody doesn't have to agree with you, then you become that person that's not afraid to stand alone. You know, a lot of times there are people, even, you know, my age and older, you know, that don't have an opinion for themselves. They say what everybody else is saying. And to me, that's really sad, because at some point in your life, you ought to decide, you know what, I don't agree with that. And you should not be afraid to speak on that and say, even to your friends or your family, you know, that's fine. We're just going to agree to disagree. And that's an adult conversation that you should be able to have. And you guys, my final thought for today is nothing great or amazing will ever happen in your life until you stop doubting yourself and start believing in yourself. You know, as long as you're constantly doubting yourself, you can't do anything amazing or anything spectacular in your life, because you got to have some confidence to step out there. You know, you can't always be worrying about what may or may not happen, because you'll never do it. You'll never leap as long as you're worried about what's on the other side. You gotta have enough confidence in yourself to say, if I leap, I'm gonna land. Your feet are gonna land somewhere, but you've got to have the confidence within to say, I'm gonna leap, I'm gonna go for it. And then find validation from within. Quit worrying about what everybody else has to say about you. Have faith in yourself and allow yourself to fail and start over again, and start over new, start over different. You know, that's one thing I've had to learn in my life. I've had to start over several times, and each time I'm starting over different, because the last time I tried to start over the same way, guess what? I got the same result. So when I got tired of getting the same results, I started over different. I had to change my mind. I had to change where I went. I had to change the company that I kept. And when I started doing things differently, I got different results. So don't let anyone's opinion have more weight than your own when it comes to believing in yourself. Thanks, you guys. I hope I wasn't talking too fast. I had a busy day and my mouth is dry, so I hope everybody was able to get something from that. And you guys have a great weekend, and thank you so much for supporting us and watching our Talk About It Thursdays and our Making Marriage Mondays with Miss Sandra Bailey Crow. Thank y'all for supporting her, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. I'll see y'all next week, and until then, stay safe, stay COVID-free, stay monkeypox-free. Lord help us. And you guys enjoy your weekend. Take care. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.